Good evening and Jai Hind children. I welcome you all in today's live class of chemistry. Children, now today I am going to revise the chapter soil. Alright. Children, you must have seen the soil in your surrounding in which the plants are growing, and the soil you have must observe in different forms like mud and dirt, these all. So they all have the soil particles. Okay, and the different kinds of plants grow in soil. Get it? So first of all, mainly we'll discuss about the composition of soil. Composition of soil. Children, the soil is composed of different components. The different components are present in soil, and one of the important component is the teeny bits of mineral particles. Alright, so the first composition is mineral particles, and they come from larger rocks, and these mineral includes salts of iron, calcium, potassium, magnesium and phosphate, etc. And many of these minerals are needed by plants for their growth. All right, now the second component is the humus. Children, humus is another important component of soil. It is dark brown in color and consists of decaying remains of plants and animals, and a variety of dead and decaying organisms which contribute to the formation of humus. And a lot of it is formed by grown in small pieces of the rocks. So you can say that the humus formed because of, yes, decaying of leaves of plants and branches of plants, and also the dead bodies of animals. And the plants like mosses, lichens, ferns that grow in small pieces of rocks. So these all together get decomposed and forms the humus. Get it? Now, that water and air which are needed for soil organism to survive. So you can say that the another component of soil is the living organism. Especially the living organism. Yes, the organism which decompose the body of plants and animals. Alright, so that water and air, they both are needed for soil organisms, are these organisms to survive, and for dead and decaying matter to be converted to humus. So the humus makes soil fertile for providing organic nutrients and also provide food to earthworm and other animals which are living in soil. Now, beside it, improves the texture of the soil and also prevents minerals being washed away by water. Okay. Now, besides the earthworm that you must have seen in soil, so beside it, the living organism which are living in soil also like millipedes, centipedes, ants, fungi and bacteria. So these all are the living organisms which are found in soil, which present in soil. And actually, the more living organisms live in the soil than above it, and many of them play an active part in maintaining the fertility of soil. Alright, so you can say that the living organisms which are found in soil, they are helpful to maintain the fertility of soil. Okay, children, you must have heard that earthworms, which are called the farmer's friend, The reason? Because they improve the texture of soil by burrowing into the soil, and they make it loose and thus allowing air to enter into the soil and water to drain from it. Alright. And they also form channels in the soil for root to spread through. Get it? So these all roles are played by the earthworm in soil, and that is why it is known as farmer's friend. Okay? Now children, there is a fact that you must have to know, that the scientists have estimated that every gram of soil, means about 1 gram of soil, contains a billion of bacteria, and a billion means about 100 crores. So 100 crores bacteria are present in 1 gram of soil. So you can imagine that how smaller these bacteria are and how much organisms like bacteria are found in soil. Alright? Now the bacteria and the fungi in the soil, they feed on dead remains of plants and animals and helps to form humus. So the formation of humus takes place by, yes, by decaying of dead remains of plants and animals by bacteria and fungi. Alright. And some bacteria convert nitrogen of the air into nitrogen compounds, and these nitrogen compounds can be used by plants. Get it? And this process is known as fixing of nitrogen. So you can say that some bacteria help in fixing of nitrogen, means conversion of nitrogen of the air into the nitrogen compound. Okay? Now, some organisms, such as millipedes and centipedes, living in the soil and are harmed as destroy the roots of plants. So, they are harmful for the root of the plants because they harm it. Get it? So, these all are the composition of soil. Now, after that, we have discussed in the chapter that is formation of soil. So, formation of soil, that you also must have to study how the soil form. Children, soil was not present on earth at the time of its formation. Okay, and long ago, the ground was mostly solid rock, and over millions of years, this rock got partially changed into soil by the process known as weathering. So, what is the name of process? Yes, the name of the process is weathering. Alright, this weathering is the breaking down of huge pieces of rocks into smaller pieces by the action of natural forces such as water, glacier, wind, and roots of the plant, etc. So by these all natural forces, the huge pieces of rocks breaks into the smaller pieces and forms the soil. Alright, and this process is known as weathering. Now, there are certain agents of weathering. Okay, means they help to break down of pieces of rocks. So they are termed as agents of weathering. And these agents are, the first one is, yes, the role of water in weathering of rocks is particularly important. So the first agent is water. And its role is, yes, very important in weathering process, because the rainwater which enters in crevices of the rocks, and in winters, as this water freezes, it expands, and this expansion breaks the rocks into smaller pieces. Alright, so what is the first agent of weathering? Water. Second one is, yes, the flowing wind or water. So flowing wind and water, they both are the another agent as they collide against the ground and against each other, they down further and finally they get converted into very fine particles and mix with humus to form soil. Got it? So by the water which present in the crevices of the rock pieces, they freezes and breaks into smaller pieces. And again these smaller pieces, yes, flowing water with wind, they collide against and the ground and against each other, they down further move. And finally, they get converted into very fine particles and then mixed with humus and finally form the soil. Alright, so the second agent is flowing water or wind. Now, the third agent is, yes, the roots of trees. The roots of trees that growing through the rocks, they exert great pressure on the rocks and this causes cracks in the rocks leading to weathering. So the roots of the trees also help in the process of weathering because of exerting a pressure on the rocks and because of this pressure the rocks, yes, gets cracked and breaks into smaller pieces. Now the next agent that the temperature, the variation of day and night temperature. Okay. So children, the large variation in day and night temperature. For example, in northern India, yes, it causes the weathering because of variation in, yes, day and night temperature, and the rocks expands during the day and contact at night, all right, because of the difference in temperature. So at the daytime the temperature is more and as a result rocks expand, and at night time the temperature decreases and because of which the contraction occurs in the rock pieces, and this constant expansion and contraction weakens the rocks and they cracks and crumble and finally forms a soil. Alright, so the large variation in day and night temperature, like in northern India, yes, it causes the weathering process and forms the soil. Alright, now the next agent is there in hot and humid climates, high temperature that also causes the weathering. So you can say that the climate, especially which climate? Hot and humid climates. As the high temperature of such climate causes weathering to occur, and the minerals in rocks they react with oxygen of the air, and such oxidized rocks crumble to form soil. Alright, weathering of rocks is a slow process. Children. It takes hundreds of years to produce a few centimeters of soil. Alright. So these all are the agents of weathering process and in this way the formation of soil takes place. Alright. Understood this topic children? Now come to the next important topic of the chapter, that is soil profile. Soil profile. Children, have you ever seen a deep hole in the ground, such as that dug up for laying the foundation of buildings? Is it? Yes, you must have seen. So, you may have noticed that the soil changes color as one goes deeper, and the size of the bits of rocks changes too. And the main layers of the soil are, yes, topsoil, subsoil. The third one is parent. So these are the main layers of soil. Okay, and these all layers can be seen very clearly at the time of, yes, digging the hole at the time of foundation of a building. Now, the structure of this different layer of the soil can be like, till this one is the topsoil in which the roots of the plants are present. This one is topsoil. This one is subsoil, and below it, parent rock. And at last, this one is termed as bedrock. Alright, children. So this is termed as the soil profile, in which different layers can be seen. Get it? So come one by one. These all layers have their different properties. So the first layer is the topsoil. It is also known as A horizon. Children, this topsoil or horizon A are the uppermost layer, and the humus and the smallest particles of rocks forms this upper layer of soil, which is called topsoil or horizon A, and the presence of humus gives it a dark color. Okay, so the color of the topsoil is dark because of the presence of humus, and it is the layer containing the most nutrients for plants as compared to the other layers. So most nutrients are present in topsoil, and the roots of most of the plants are confined to this layer, and the humus makes this layer porous and fertile. So because of the presence of most humus particles here, the soil gets porous and it is most fertile layer of as compared to these all other layers. Okay. Now the second layer is subsoil, or it is also known as B horizon. Children, this is the layer present below the topsoil, and the subsoil does not have much humus and is therefore lighter in color than topsoil. Alright, the topsoil is dark in color because of the presence of humus, and here the humus is present less, so that is why its color is lighter as compared to topsoil, and it is made up of mostly of rocks, pits, and some nutrients. So the amount of nutrients are also less, and the nutrients like soluble minerals and iron oxides are mostly present in subsoil. Get it? The rainwater, they get collects in this layer. So after the seepage of the rainwater through topsoil, it get collected here in this second layer, that is subsoil. Okay? Now below the subsoil, the third layer is parent rock, or it is also known as sea horizon. Okay, so below the subsoil in the parent rock or sea horizon, and it consists of small pieces of rocks with cracks and crevices, and the particles of rocks found in soil comes from weathered rock in the sea horizon. Alright, so these particles of the rocks comes from where? Actually, it comes from the weathered rock. Alright, and below this parent rock, the solid rock is there, and it is called bedrock. This is non-porous, and the rainwater gathers over it and collected here and forms the water table. Alright, children. So these are the different layers of soil and together known as soil profile. Get it? And these all layers have the different properties. Okay? Now, after the soil profile, the another topic is the types of soil. Types of soil. Children, as in the diagram of soil profile, you have seen the top soil, which has the bits of rocks and humus in it. And however, not all topsoil from different places have different colors and rock particles of different sizes. And the difference in color and size occurs because the soil comes from different kind of rocks. Okay, that is why the colors and the size of particles vary. The minerals which are present in the rocks give them different colors, and also some kind of rocks which breaks into very small particles, whereas other breaks into large particles. So because of these all reasons, the soil, the properties of soil is going to change from place to place. Okay, so the three main kinds of rock particles that can be found in topsoil, and they look and feel different. Okay, and these three kind of particles are the first one, clay. Okay, so this clay has the smallest particle of the soil, and it is less than the size of the particles are less than 0.002 millimeter. Okay, in diameter. So this is the size of the particles of the clay, and in fact you cannot see a single clay particle because of the smaller size, and the clay feels smooth because of its small particle size. Alright, children. Now the second type of soil or the particle is Silt. So the silt has the particles larger than clay, and it is about, yes, 0.002 millimeter to 0.2 millimeter in diameter. So the size of the particles of silt vary from 0.002 millimeter to 0.2 millimeter, and therefore it is not so smooth, and it can be found, for example, in a river bed. Okay, generally it is found in river bed. Alright, children. Now the third type of soil particle is sand. And the sand has the largest size particles as compared to clay and silt, and it can easily be seen because the diameter of the particles are greater than 0.2 millimeter. Alright, and because of this size, these particles can be easily seen, and they are coarse to touch because of large size. Okay, so these are the three types of soil particles on the basis of their different size of particles, and they form the different types of soil. So, in addition to these, the topsoil also has small stones which are called gravel. And the topsoil in a particular geographical area may contain only one kind of rock particles or a mixture of two or three types. Get it? So, on the basis of the mixture of these particles, the type of soil is the sandy soil that has a lot of sand in it and very little silt and clay. Get it? So such type of soil is known as sandy soil. Get it, children? So in sandy soil, what happened? Lot of sand and little silt and clay is found, and it is found mostly in deserts, and it can hold air but cannot hold much water, as water drains quickly through large spaces which are present in sand particles. And on the other hand, the clay soil, which mostly contains the clay particles, and the water drains through very slowly since the particles are very small and tightly packed. Okay, and this type of soil is not able to trap enough air for the roots of plants, and the best topsoil for growing plant is loam soil. Alright, and loam is a mixture of sand and silt and clay. So all the three kind of particles mix together to form the loam soil. Okay, and humus is also present in it. So this loam soil is having right water holding capacity for plants growth, and it also has adequate spaces between the soil particles to trap air which are required by the roots of plants. Get it? So these are the three types of soil on the basis of the different particles: clay soil, sandy soil, and loam soil. Okay, children? So I hope that you understood these all topics. Now, after that, there are certain properties of soil is also explained in the chapter. So come to the properties of soil. And the first property is percolation rate of water in the soil. Percolation rate of water in the soil. So the percolation rate of water is one of the important property of soil, children. Okay, if you spill some water on the cement floor of your house, so what happens? It stays there for a long time. And however, if you spill water on the ground outside the house, what will happen? Yes, it quickly gets absorbed in the soil. This is because water can percolate into the soil, but not into cement. And does the water percolate through all types of soil at the same rate? So your answer will be no. Different types of soil have the different rate of percolation. Alright, the rainwater that percolates through the soil, it collects above the bedrock. And this natural level of the groundwater is called water table. So the rate of percolation can be calculated as, yes, amount of water, absorbed, okay, divided by time taken. So with the help of this formula, we can find out the percolation rate of soil. For example, if 200 ml of water percolated are absorbed by the soil in 10 minutes. So time taken 10 minutes. And the amount of water 200 ml. So the rate percolation rate will be how much? Yes, it is 20 ml per minute. So this is the percolation rate of that soil in which 200 ml water absorbed in 10 minutes. Alright children? So this is the first property of soil. Now the second property is the moisture in soil. Moisture in soil. Till the moisture also present in soil, and because of it, the certain kind of soil feel most, yes, moist, whereas some kind of soil feels dry when we keep it in our hand. Alright, so this indicates that the moisture contained in soil. Alright, now the next property is absorption of water by soil. Absorption of water by soil means that how much water absorbed by the soil in a given time. So that will indicate, that will give us the absorbed water, and its percentage we can also calculate. Get it? And for calculating the percentage water absorbed, what will do? Yes, we will use the formula, the amount of water absorbed and divided by, yes, that the amount of soil and multiply by 100. Get it? So we'll get the percentage water absorbed by the soil. So these are some of the important properties of soil. Okay, and I hope that you understood these all properties of soil. Thank you and have a nice day, children.